Welcome back to Newsmax Now. John Bachman was out in California covering last night's debate, and here are some highlights from that coverage.
We gained 300,000 new Facebook fans during the debate and $1 million, so it seems like it's working. Probably the highlight was when I said to Donald Trump that he's an okay doctor.
In debates, you have to fight back. When somebody attacks your family, you better be ready to defend not only your record, but defend your family. He did that very, very well. 9/11 was something that this country had to deal with, and I thought George Bush did a wonderful job of making sure that we felt safe. Jeb defended that.
I think that of all the issues, if we don't really adhere to who we are as a people and the balance of power, I really worry about the long-term impact of the country.
I think that there's a lot of different opinions on what we need to do to secure the border. I mean, I don't think that Hispanics are monolithic. I mean, I think there's so much emphasis on immigration reform that it sort of just boxes all Hispanic voters into that one particular issue.
Well, the more we throw barbs at each other and call each other names, number one, it turns voters off, as it should. They don't want to hear about people calling each other names, people accusing people of being narcissists or whatever the case may be. American voter can figure out whether someone's a narcissist.
Many of you may recognize the name Rod Blagojevich, the former Illinois governor accused of trying to sell Barack Obama's vacated Senate seat to the highest bidder. But what about his brother, Robert? Robert was named as a defendant in the criminal trial against Rod and has since written a book. It's called Fundraiser A, My Fight for Freedom and Justice. And he joins us live now to discuss his experience firsthand. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How did you come to work for your brother and ultimately be named as a defendant in his case?
My brother had called me to visit with him in August of 2008. My wife and I were visiting our son Alex up in Chicago, and he called me over to his home and asked me if I would consider fundraising for him through the end of 2008, a total of 4 months. And after some consideration, I told him I would do that with two conditions. One, I would never pay anyone for a contribution, and two, he and I had to get along. The interesting issue and challenge between the two of us were very different personalities, and he understood that if we didn't get along, that would be the end of it, and I would move on. But we agreed that I would help him out because he had told me he knew of no one else that he could trust more than me, and I agreed to help him out for 4 months.
And was it hard, though, for you to remain ethical in a world of Chicago-style politics, not exactly known for being ethical?
Well, it's interesting. During the 4 months that I was there, 50 days of those 4 months, we were wiretapped. And throughout the entire time that I did fundraise, people nibbled around me as a fundraiser all the time, looking for something in exchange, a governmental action in exchange for a campaign contribution, a quid pro quo. And that was something that I very clearly communicated to each and every one of the people who approached me that way. And even the government who eavesdropped on us knew what kind of a person I was, how ethical and proper I was in dealing with those approaches, because they happened all the time.
What do you want people to know about your brother?
My brother is someone who was very dedicated to serving the people of Illinois. The real story out of this is to all of your listeners here, and that is, you never know who's listening to your telephone conversations, and if they have an agenda to get you, as in the United States government and a U.S. attorney, they will take random snippets of conversations and make a federal case out of it because they have an agenda. And so, to me, my brother was a victim of that, as was I, but I prevailed, fortunately, in trial, and he didn't.
If there's one thing that you would want readers to take away from this book, what would that be?
I wrote the book for a number of reasons. The key thing was to give a perspective of what it's like to be a criminal defendant in federal court going up against the United States of America, a superpower. And it's a David and Goliath war between the government and you, the individual. And I learned, and I hope anyone who reads it will see, that we have a system, a judicial system, that is so stacked in favor of the prosecution that I only stood a 4% chance of walking away with my freedom after an indictment and going to trial, and I was fortunate enough to prevail.
I want to lighten things up just a little bit. Your brother was on Celebrity Apprentice. As you know, Trump has stepped down, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is now going to be in charge of that. Your thoughts?
Well, I know my brother had a high regard for Donald Trump, and he felt that Donald Trump had a high regard for him. And so I wish Donald all the best in his presidential pursuits. And, we'll see what happens for him personally. I suspect my brother's rooting for him.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. That was Robert Blagojevich, author of the book Fundraiser A, My Fight for Freedom and Justice.